Okay, so this elective is going to begin with a lecture, and then we're going to use the rest of the time, hopefully a large chunk of time, to discuss kind of your particular situations, to do some question and answering. This is the first time that I've given this lecture, and I think it's probably one of the most important lectures I could give. I could talk to you about impact comparison, I could talk to you about evidence comparison, I could talk to you about how to improve your 1AR, and most of the instruction that you're going to get at debate camp, and most of the instruction that those of you watching at home are going to get from online lectures is about how to get better at debate and how to be a better debater. But I think it's just as important, if not more important, that you get better at building a squad, at leading your teammates. And so my goal is to make this lecture not just about getting better at debate, but getting better at life. So there are three basic assumptions that I begin with giving this lecture. The first, and I think the most important thing, is that debate is good. The second is that the survival of debate requires strong debate programs. And the third is that student leaders play an instrumental role in maintaining strong debate programs. And with those assumptions in mind, I have two goals for this lecture. The first is to inspire you to become a leader of your debate team. And the second is to equip you with some tools and techniques and approaches that will enable you to do so. So to that end, the lecture is divided into three parts. The first part is about recruitment and retention. The second part is about building institutional support. And the third part is about coordinating debate work. And I think that the way that this is divided kind of reflects the three things that I think are most important for establishing and maintaining strong debate programs. I'm a sucker for inspirational quotes. So each subpoint of the lecture is accompanied by one. My hope is that one or two of them will kind of connect with you and they can inspire you in those times when it kind of is tough to take on leadership responsibility. My favorite quote of all about leadership is from Warren Bennis. Quote, "The most dangerous leadership myth is that leaders are born, that there is a genetic factor to leadership. This myth asserts that people simply either have certain charismatic qualities or not. That's nonsense. In fact, the opposite is true. Leaders are made rather than born." And the goal here is to make you all leaders. So subpoint A, or big number one, recruitment and retention. Your number one job as a team leader is to ensure that your squad is strong and there is strength to be had in numbers. You need to recruit new members of your team, and you need to retain as many committed members of your debate team as possible. Several subpoints. Subpoint A, set squad goals. Set squad goals. Gary Wills said, quote, "The leader is one who mobilizes others toward a goal shared by leaders and followers. Leaders, followers, and goals make up the three equally necessary supports for leadership." So what do I mean by setting goals? Don't just focus on competitive goals. Emphasize participation, program growth, individual student goals. Make the goals about the squad more than about the individual. So instead of making your only goal, we want our top team to get to the TOC, or we want our top team to clear at the TOC, or we want our top team to win the state tournament. Make your goals about more people participating in more debates, more students getting a winning record, more students clearing at a tournament during the course of the season, more students being able to produce a research assignment independently of their teammates. Make the goal about the squad, to be able to clear 3 teams at tournaments throughout the season, to be able to accumulate speaker awards for multiple students throughout the season. You should do this together as a team, and as a student leader, you can facilitate that, and the tone that you take will have a substantial effect on what the team thinks is important. If you're all about yourself, or all about only the top level goals, then the rest of the students kind of don't feel invested and get left behind. You should keep track of the goals you've set, revisit them throughout the season, and use them as motivation. When you've established a goal, you should continually kind of revisit it, encourage people to take the steps they need to accomplish it, and when they accomplish it, you should celebrate it, which I'll talk about in a minute. Your goal should be to give all students on your team a stake in the squad's goals. Everyone needs to have something to contribute. You have failed as a team leader if members of your squad do not feel invested in the success of all other members of the squad. Subpoint B, celebrate accomplishments. Celebrate accomplishments. Jim Rohn said, "A good objective of leadership is to help those who are doing poorly to do well, and to help those who are doing well to do even better." Obviously, you should celebrate competitive accomplishments. If you do well at a tournament, if one of your teams does well at a tournament, celebrate it. But more importantly, you need to celebrate improvement. And improvement needs to be the thing that is prioritized when you have your squad meeting and you talk with other students. You want students to pursue improvement, not necessarily top-level competitive achievements. Because not every student is going to clear at the TOC, but every student can get better at debate. Celebrate individual effort, good research, a certain number of practice debates, mentorship. Celebrate those things which students on your squad do to make your squad stronger. As a team leader, de-emphasize your own accomplishments and hype up the accomplishments of others. Most of you are probably going to be the best or some of the best debaters on your team. When you celebrate goals as a team, that should be the last thing you talk about. If you clear at a tournament and get a TOC bid, sure, celebrate that. But celebrate it because you used some research that one of your younger students did and that helped you win a round. Or celebrate the team that went 3-3 for the first time at a big tournament. Or celebrate the students who just went to a tournament for the first time. Don't emphasize the things that you're awesome at. Emphasize the things that others are awesome at. At squad meetings, celebrate others' accomplishments publicly in front of everyone. Make people feel good about what they've done, even if what they've done did not receive recognition at the award ceremony. So if a student went 2-4 at a tournament, they didn't have very much success, but they did a file before the tournament which won another team around, celebrate that. Because that's just as important as if that team had gone 4-2 and cleared at the tournament. Finally, don't make it trivial. You have to be genuine in order to make this kind of celebration effective. It's easy for students to know that you're just kind of patronizing them by saying, you know, you didn't have a very good tournament, but you cut a couple cards, so hooray for you. You need to genuinely invest and celebrate in improvement and effort of all the members of your squad. And as team leaders, you set the tone for that, more than anyone else, including, if you have one, your coach. Subpoint C, promote team unity. Promote team unity. Arnold Glasow said, one of the true tests of leadership is the ability to recognize a problem before it becomes an emergency. You need to establish a positive squad environment that does not allow negativity to kind of get into your debate team. You can't allow divisiveness to get a foothold in your debate team. You need to be the one that heads off possible causes of those things before your team starts to have internal fighting, disagreement, and divisiveness. You need to build good relationships not only within your squad, but with other schools, other squads, other students. Healthy rivalries can be extremely powerful to motivate students to work harder and to do better, but it shouldn't go beyond that. Your team environment should not be a place for hate. You shouldn't hate any of your opponents, and you shouldn't hate any of the members of your team. It should be supportive and positive. You need to identify issues before they become distractions or undermine team unity. Some common problems to be aware of. Frustration with partnerships. There's always a student who's unhappy with his or her partner. They don't like the person they have to debate with. There's friction between those people. Sit down and talk to them. Work through those partnership issues before it escalates, someone quits the debate team, and everyone hates each other. Frustration with tournament or travel opportunities. For some of you, this is because the school doesn't provide as many opportunities as you would like. For others, it's because your squad is huge and certain students don't get to travel to the same tournaments that others do. You need to head-on address that. And part of the way to address that is to set reasonable goals that can be inclusive of the whole team. If the only goal is to qualify for the TOC and some of your students don't get to go to enough tournaments to qualify for the TOC, your goals need to be changed in a way that will provide a positive environment for your entire squad. There's frustrations with some members of the team not doing their share of the work. Often hear complaints from some students, I'm working really hard, this other student isn't working nearly as hard. And that's not fair because I'm putting in more effort and they're still getting the same opportunities. Head that off at the pass, talk to people. Talk about expectations, and we'll talk about later how to set reasonable expectations and follow through with them. But be aware when those types of things begin, because once that thread starts growing, it's not too long before someone quits the debate team and some people start arguing with each other and your team is in bad shape. And maybe the most common one is just frustration with competitive failures. And as a team leader, you have an important role to play. You cannot criticize. You need to support and encourage people to overcome the things that happen to them which they get frustrated about. And part of that, again, is reflected by setting good goals, goals that celebrate accomplishment and effort, more so than just top-level achievement. Know when to intervene and know when to leave it alone. Sometimes people just need to vent, and that's okay. Don't be the person that is just constantly on everyone. Give people a chance to express their problems or whatever, but don't let it escalate. Try to resolve issues like this without bringing in a coach or moderator. But don't be afraid, if you need to step in and tell your coach, tell your moderator, here's the issue we're having, we need to address this. But your job as a student leader is to make sure those problems don't exist. And while some disagreement, some divisiveness might be inevitable, a lot of it is not. And the students at the top of the team, the leadership of the team, largely determines, in my history, whether the team has a positive, kind of unique environment. Subpoint D, nurture novice participation. Nurture novice participation. John Quincy Adams. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. The first and most important thing you can do is just encourage new students to become part of the squad. We can talk about later individual situations about recruitment, if students are kind of in charge of recruitment, ways to do that. But you need to provide students with an atmosphere where they want to come join the squad, where they want to earn the ability to work with the varsity students, where they want to work their way up into that group, because that group is somewhere they want to be. You need to value novice students' accomplishments equally with varsity accomplishments, because for them, that can be the determination of whether they stick with debate or whether they decide that they're never going to be as good as that senior who's really good at debate. You should establish mentorship relationships. Assign specific varsity students to specific novice students. And let the novice students know that they have someone they can talk to, so they don't have to be embarrassed if they feel like they're behind or they have an issue, even if it's not an issue related to debate. Maybe they're having trouble keeping up with their schoolwork. They just need someone to talk to, someone who's older, who's gone through the ropes, who knows stuff about debate. Make yourself available. Explicitly assign people to provide that support structure. Make debate tournaments fun for new students. Invite them into your group. Sit with them at meals. Ask them about their debates. Introduce them to your friends from other squads. You want to make them enjoy going to debate tournaments. You don't want to make fun of them. You don't want to alienate them to the uncool kids table while you talk to your friends about varsity debates, which are so important. You want to invite them into the team, because if they start to enjoy the team, they're going to learn just through osmosis, but more importantly, they're going to want to go to the next tournament, and the one after that, and the one after that. They're going to want to go to Summer Institute. They're going to want to come back the next year and prove that they earned the right to be in that cool group. If possible, debate with them at a local tournament. If you can't do it at a tournament, do it for practice rounds. There's nothing more inspiring to a novice student than for a varsity person to say, hey, you've shown a lot of accomplishment, you're working hard, let's debate together for this round or for this tournament. Let's see how it goes. If possible, coach them at a local tournament. If there's a local tournament where your novices are competing, go hang out there. Work with them before the round. Show them that you care about them and their accomplishments, not just about yourself and your accomplishments. Subpoint E, inspire your successors. Inspire your successors. Ralph Nader, the function of leadership is to produce more leaders, not more followers. One of the most important things you can do is inspire younger members of your squad to become the next generation of team leaders. You should identify the most dedicated juniors, sophomores, invite them to become part of the team's leadership. Work with them, establish good relationships with them, be supportive of them as they attempt to take on more responsibility. Let them spread their wings. There's going to be younger students on your squad that kind of want to be more powerful. They want to be kind of the guy or the girl on the debate team. That's okay. Don't stifle them. Get rid of the ego, because the reason you should be invested in your team is you want your team to thrive. So don't make it your team, make it the team that you're a part of, and encourage those other students who want to take on a leadership role. There's no monopoly on team leadership. Second big subpoint, building institutional support. It's not enough to just have a debate team. It's not enough to have a good debate team. It's important that your school knows that they have a good debate team and values that debate team. And this is true from the best debate programs in the country to those that are just starting off, that are just going to local tournaments. Subpoint A, boost the visibility of your squad. Boost the visibility of your squad. Sam Walton said, outstanding leaders go out of their way to boost the self-esteem of their personnel. If people believe in themselves, it's amazing what they can accomplish. If you have a coach, you obviously need to work out who does what with your coaches, but you need to volunteer to take the lead in kind of publicizing your program to your school community and invite teammates to help. This is an excellent way to kind of train the next generation of student leaders. First, you should highlight team accomplishments. Most schools have daily announcements. Someone needs to write those announcements and give those announcements to celebrate how well the team has done at a previous tournament. Celebrate not just competitive accomplishments, but improvement, personal bests. Use the language that track announcers or track coaches do in school, where they say that, you know, John Doe set a personal best at this tournament. Even if that personal best was in 75th place, it's something to celebrate that that person did their personal best. Announce the number of participation, that you had double the number of people at this tournament as the last one, that the squad is growing, that it's strong. That's something that the school community will appreciate. Prepare written materials to go into daily or weekly bulletins. Every school I've ever worked at has had at least a weekly bulletin where they just kind of list a bunch of accomplishments and things that have happened in school activities and sports for that week. Debate should be a part of it. And coaches often don't have time to do that. They've got a million other things to do, especially if your coach is more of a teacher/administrator than a full-time debate coach. So take that on, because that will communicate to all of the teachers, all of the parents who read the bulletin, that the debate team exists and it's doing well. Student newspapers. Oftentimes debaters work for the student newspaper, or they have friends who work for the student newspaper. Every student newspaper I've ever seen has no articles to write. They're always looking for new ideas to write articles about. Tell them to write an article about debate. Tell them to profile your debate team. Get into the student newspaper so that there's a kind of a sense in the school community that debate is something worth talking about. Get stuff posted on your official school website. This can be particularly effective at attracting the next generation of debaters, because their parents will be looking at the website for the high school and they'll see, oh, look, the debate team is really good here. Maybe I should have my son or daughter try the debate team. Getting stuff on the official school website is really important, and most school websites, again, are starved for content. They'd be happy to put something up if you prepare it for them. You can also then establish a team website, a team Twitter, to allow parents and friends of the program to follow you at tournaments. But your goal should be to make your program visible, because programs that are visible are programs that the institution cares about and programs that can't be cut. Second, add value to the school community. It's okay if all you do is kind of go to debate tournaments and do your debating, but it's even better if you can bring some of that debate and some of the benefits of your squad to your school community. So host a public debate, maybe after your final tournament of the year or during the run-up to winter break where you don't have to prepare for a tournament for a while. Host a public debate on the topic. You'd be amazed how many teachers and parents will show up and just be awe-inspired at how smart you all are and how well you all can develop your ideas and present them. They crave opportunities to see you, and it doesn't have to be, it shouldn't be, a fast, evidence-intensive debate. It's just an opportunity for people who are stakeholders in this activity and in the school to see excellent, shining examples of smart, awe-inspiring students. Do an open house where you invite, a lot of schools have this for like all clubs, but you should have a representative at it. If you don't have that, you can kind of hold your own where you do some kind of demonstrations of what you do in debate. You could have someone talk about the topic or talk about the different activities involved in debate and invite parents of people on the team to come and see that and to kind of interact with that. If you have a forensic or speech team, that's even better because they can do some of their more kind of audience-centered activities to draw people's attention and to get people interested in coming. But that's especially powerful earlier in the year when you have kind of a lot of novice students and you want to keep them sticking around. If you can get them and their parents to come and see debate and kind of get excited about debate, your chances of maintaining that student's participation through that first year and then through the second year and the third year and the fourth year go way up. Host a tournament, even if it's a small tournament, a tournament that just draws local schools together for a debate in the evening or something like that. The reason is because you can then lean on parents and teachers and friends of the program to come and work for the tournament. It gives them a sense that they're contributing to the debate team, that they have a stake in the debate team. And then there are a host of other projects. There's the thing that used to be called the NPPF, that's now the IPPF, the International Public Policy Forum, which is like a written debate competition. You should participate in that. It's something that your administration will appreciate. They'll get a letter from Bickle and Brewer saying, thank you, your debate team has entered this elite competition. If you do well at it, even better. But it's something that doesn't take that much time, but which builds prestige for the program. The National Forensic League has a global debate system that you can incorporate with your public debate. And they give you materials and ways to publicize your participation in public debates about whatever the important issue is. It's usually related to the policy debate topic. Do some service projects as a debate team. A lot of schools require that students do service projects, private schools. Even some people in public schools are affiliated with religious organizations or with service organizations where they need to accumulate service hours, maybe the National Honor Society. Everyone kind of always is in need of service hours. Organize something through your debate team, because if you can go to your school and say, not only do we go to debate tournaments, but we host a public debate, we host a tournament that provides opportunities to debate for other schools, and we do service as part of our group, you have instantly amplified the value of your debate team in the eyes of your administration. Subpoint B, establish good relationships with teachers. Establish good relationships with teachers. Gandhi says, I suppose leadership at one time meant muscles, but today it means getting along with people. When you miss school, make up your work promptly. Clearly communicate with all of your teachers when you're going to miss school. Tell them in advance that you're going to miss classes on these days. Don't call in sick the day after a tournament. And most importantly, establish a norm among your teammates that that's just the way it is. As team leaders, you will set the example for what is acceptable behavior in terms of academics and its relationship with debate. The worst thing you could do is send the message to the rest of the students on the team, younger students, less experienced students, that debate is more important than academics. Because those students won't be able to balance school and academics like you can after having done it for several years. And so they're going to let their schoolwork fall behind, they're going to alienate their teachers, and that's going to result in pushback for everyone on the debate team. Everyone on the debate team's travel opportunities will be limited. You need to set a good example that school comes first, follow through on that, and to be honest, it should come first, no matter how much you love debate. Subpoint C, acknowledge the support you receive. Acknowledge the support you receive. President Eisenhower said, leadership is the art of getting people to do what you want them to do because they want to do it. This is extremely important. Even if your school doesn't give you much money, doesn't give you a full-time coach, doesn't authorize you to travel that much, you need to thank them for everything they do, even if it's almost nothing. Thank them for the opportunity to have a debate team. Thank them for giving you the moderator or the supervisor or the chaperone or whatever they do give you. Thank them for that, and then tell them that you appreciate their contributions to your accomplishments, and then highlight your accomplishments. Take every opportunity to thank your principal, to thank your assistant principal, whoever's in charge of activities, your activities director, your athletic director, wherever that is housed in your school. It's not because you're necessarily actually thankful for all the awesome things they've done for you. It's because when you thank them, they become a stakeholder in your program. They think to themselves, wow, the debate team appreciates what we're doing. Maybe we could do a little bit more, and we're going to get even more good publicity out of this. Convince them that they want to increase support for your debate team. Convince them that it's their idea that this school has a strong debate team. Don't criticize them for not investing enough in debate. While that's a fair criticism, it's not a good way to get them to support debate. Subpoint D, support, don't undermine your coach. Support, don't undermine your coach. Sam Rayburn, you cannot be a leader and ask other people to follow you unless you know how to follow too. Regardless of the kind of coach you have, whether it's a full-time debate-specific person like me, whether it's a part-time debate person who has a job outside the school, whether it's just a teacher who volunteers, a chaperone, they are in charge, not you. And the sooner you understand that, the better you will be as a team leader. You need to build a good relationship with your coach regardless of whether you get along with them, regardless of whether you think they're the coach you want, because face it, they're the coach you have. And they're going to be the coach you will have for the foreseeable future. Set a good example for the rest of the squad by respecting their authority and by just respecting them as people. Even the worst debate coaches in the country are better than everyone who's not a debate coach, because they're taking the time out of their schedules, out of their lives, to take you to debate tournaments, to supervise you, even if that just means they sign you up for tournaments. It's a lot more work than students seem to think. Never, ever, 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 in front of your squad, complain about your coach or glorify coaches on other teams. Once that sentiment gains a foothold, morale and team unity will instantly suffer. If everyone on your team spends their time complaining about how they wish they had a better coach, chances are good that your coach will not want to continue to be your coach, and the replacement for your coach is probably going to be worse. Don't be jealous. Don't pity yourself over your coaching situation. It's not something you can change, but it will poison your relationship with the coach you do have, and in many instances, it has killed debate programs. You do not want to be responsible for killing a debate program for every future generation of students because you are jealous or because you think you deserve better. Big number 3, coordinating debate work. Part of maintaining a strong debate program is obviously winning debates. And winning requires hard work, preparation, improvement, practice. We'll discuss this more in the question and answer section because I'd like to talk about specific situations, and I think that some of you are in vastly different circumstances. But here's kind of the short version of how I think student leaders can contribute to coordinating debate work. Subpoint A, establish strong norms. Establish strong norms. President Eisenhower again. You don't lead by hitting people over the head. That's assault, not leadership. The best way to convince other members of your team to pull their own weight is to make doing so an expectation rather than a demand. You want to convince them that this is what they want to do because they want to share in the glory of victory. They want to share in the celebration of accomplishment, not because if they don't do it, you'll yell at them. You need to explicitly outline expectations, and sometimes one size doesn't fit all. Not everyone should have the same expectations. Some members of your team are not going to be willing, regardless of what you do, to do the same level of research output, practice debates, redo schedules, that kind of thing, tournament attendance. But some expectations must be universal. When you say you'll do something, you must do it. Accountability and responsibility must be universal norms. And that means it doesn't matter if you've decided to take on a 20-page file, a 50-page file, or a 2-page file. When you commit to doing it, you do it. And every student should feel a strong sense of obligation that comes from inside and not outside that they will follow through. By emphasizing team goals and by celebrating the importance of everyone's contributions to the success of even the best teams at the school, you can inculcate in students a desire to help and a desire to do their part. When someone violates a norm, an expectation, when they are irresponsible or when they break the norm, talk to them privately. Don't call them out in front of the whole squad. Emphasize how their behavior, how their failure to do an assignment, or how their failure to attend a tournament hurt someone else. It hurt the squad as a whole. Explain how it hurt the team's ability to reach its goals. Explain how others were impacted who worked really hard and really wanted this opportunity. Forgive them. Encourage them. Don't berate people. Don't alienate people, because once you begin down that line, pretty soon you're staring at the barrel of a debate team with 3 kids on it. Nobody likes to be yelled at. Debate is a voluntary co-curricular activity. You want to encourage people, get people feeling that they want to follow through on their obligations, that they want to pull their own weight. You can't do that with an iron fist. Subpoint B, set a good example. Set a good example. Albert Schweitzer, very simple. Example is leadership. Example is leadership. When you say that you will do something, you need to do it. Because if you don't do it, no one else will. And everyone else will think that since you didn't have to do it, since you didn't follow through, why should they? The team leader didn't do it. I'm not doing it. But sometimes you won't do it, right? Life happens. You might not finish an assignment. You might have to miss a tournament. Something wrong, something bad happens. When you mess up, admit it. Apologize. Make it right to your teammates. And don't emphasize, don't make excuses, don't talk about yourself. Make it about the team and explain how you'll make it up to the team. Never ask other members of your team to do more than you ask of yourself. That is the height of selfishness, and it is the reverse of leadership. Whenever possible, help other members of your team fulfill their responsibilities. Be there in a supportive role for those who need help. Don't be there to criticize those who are having trouble. The debate team should be a place where all students feel comfortable and willing to kind of admit when they're having trouble, to admit when they are not doing a good job, and they admit that they're having some trouble with balancing school and debate, or when they're really having trouble kind of getting this new debate concept, or they're really struggling to debate at tournaments. It's just not clicking for them like they want to. You should not make an environment where students feel embarrassed or upset to share that with you. You need to be there for them, help them fulfill their responsibilities. Don't berate them, don't criticize them. Subpoint C, use collaborative tools. Use collaborative tools. Vince Lombardi, great Packers coach. Individual commitment to a group effort. That is what makes a team work, a company work, a society work, a civilization work. Individual commitment to a group effort. There are a variety of technologies that you can use. The specifics of what technology you use is not that important. All of these things can make debate research and managing a debate team's work easier, simpler, better. But the reason I'm highlighting this is because the very use of collaborative tools decentralizes the debate team and gives everyone a sense that they are involved in the top level of the debate team. So use a Google group to send squad-wide emails. Make sure that everyone gets those emails. Copy everyone on your debate team whenever there's a new announcement made about the debate team, when we're celebrating accomplishments. They'll feel like they're part of the team. Use Delicious or Google Bookmarks to share bookmarks and allow students who are younger, who are just learning the ropes, to post their link to say, I've found something that needs to be added to our research queue, and so I'm participating actively in the research process for my squad. Even though I can't, maybe cut cards yet, I'm not very good at it, I'm not putting out a whole file, I found something useful, and I'm going to contribute it to the shared pool of work that our squad is doing. You can also use Google Reader and shared feeds to do the same thing. But your goal is to encourage students to feel invested in the research process and invested in the process of argument construction. They might not write the new app, but maybe they found an article that's going to contribute to the new app. And so if you do write that new app, celebrate their accomplishment. Celebrate that they found something, they contributed in a small way to the good of the whole squad. Use Google Calendar or some other calendar tool to share practice schedules and assignment due dates. Make it public when everyone's assignments are due, and give students a sense that they're in this together with the other students. It's not just them on an island. Everyone else has assignments to be done that day. Everyone's kind of looking forward to that day. We're going to get some new evidence that day. Everyone's turning in their evidence that day. Or, everyone's coming to this practice debate. Just seeing that physical schedule can inspire students to be more responsible and more accountable than they otherwise would. Seeing that not coming to this practice debate harms John and Jane and Daryl is much more impactful than just knowing that there was a practice debate and deciding not to go. It personalizes things for students. And then use Dropbox or SugarSync or some technology to share files with the rest of your team. Too many squads, there is a sense of infighting and personal possession of files. Files are kind of kept as intellectual property of certain teams. That might be true and necessary for some of the highest level files you have on your squad, but for the most part, just make things available. Students feel empowered when they feel like they're part of the team, when there's not the good team and then the rest of the team. So don't hide your files from your teammates. Don't internally compete with your teammates. Develop a culture where the debate team is the center. The debate squad is the center, not the two-person partnership, or even worse, the one-person debater. A couple of concluding thoughts. And my favorite quote about leadership from Tom Landry, Cowboys coach. Leadership is a matter of having people look at you and gain confidence, seeing how you react. If you're in control, they're in control. I'm going to read that again because I think it's powerful. Leadership is a matter of having people look at you and gain confidence, seeing how you react. If you are in control, they are in control. If I had to distill this to one piece of advice, it's that you need to get your personal ship in order, and you need to set a powerful example for the rest of your squad from everything you do, from publicizing the team, from recruiting and supporting the retainment of students, to building support for the team in your school, to doing debate work, and to going to tournaments and competing. You need to be the example, because if you are the leader of your squad, there is no other example. Students will look to you and they will decide, this debate thing is for me, and I'm doing it the right way, and I want to be great at debate. Or they will look at you and say, this isn't for me. And when you graduate, the numbers of your program will start dwindling, and pretty soon you come to your 10-year reunion and your squad doesn't have a debate team anymore. And there is nothing worse than knowing that the program that gave you so many opportunities, that built you up and put you in a position to have a successful life, is no longer around. So your number one goal, build your team, do it right, set an example, and be a leader.